Degenerate race league. This is our creed. Fast and furious, it's all we need. It's all we need. It's all we want to look like. We own the track. We own the night. We own the night. Kicking into high gear, the race is on. Wheels burning rubber, we're never wrong. Power in the engines, fire in our veins. In the DRL, we break the chains. No brakes, no fear, no slowing down. The checkered flag is calling, we're the crown. Degenerate race league, where the tough survive. Living for the moment we're born to drive. With steel and speed, we own the track. No looking forward, 'cause we won't look back. From the streets to the asphalt, we own it all. Rising like thunder, hear the call. Push it to the limit, take the lead. In the DRL, we race with greed. From the streets to the asphalt, we own it all. Rising like thunder, hear the call. Push it to the limit.
Hello along, everybody. Welcome to the Degenerate Race League here on Twitch. My name is James Newton. I'm going to be bringing you all the action today for round 2 here at Circuit of the Americas. Went to the Red Bull Ring last time out for the DRL. This Formula Season 1 schedule up on your screens. Going to be heading out to Austin, Texas this time around. Happy to have you joining us wherever you may be watching, as our competitors are currently on their qualifying laps at the moment. About 10 or so minutes left in the session, so we'll be bringing you down to the track in just a bit. But before we do that, having a look at the schedule again. Red Bull Ring last time out, where Mercedes scored a 2-3 and Audi put it on the top of the podium. Interlagos coming up next week, heading out to the Ardennes Forest of Spa for round 4. Back half consists of Hockenheim in Germany. We have a double header in Italy, the Temple of Speed, followed by the Autodromo Internazionale Dino e Enzo Ferrari, and the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve up in Canada. Also have a look at the standings for the drivers. Ryan Barkin's taking the top honors last time out. Andrew Jackson and Gav Cook looking very strong again for Mercedes with that 2-3 there. Ryan Barkin's also with the fastest lap of the race, bringing them up to 26 points, the maximum you can score across a weekend. Morgan Dino fighting back in the Lassian Williams F1 team machine. Frederick Goupel in 5th. Ross Twiddle in 6th for V-Carp. Juan Cruz, the lead McLaren, followed by Silas Jansen in 8th. Russell Stanford 9th, and Mike Brown in the Ferrari, bringing up the rear of the point scorers. Also have a look at the constructors as well. Again, Mercedes leading the charge. Audi with that really big win last time out, and Williams looking decent in 3rd position. 3 teams still not to score: Cadillac, Red Bull, and the Haas team. See if Haas can do something here on their own proving ground, which again is coming to you from the hills of Austin, Texas, Elroy, Texas to be specific, just outside of Austin. Set to be a toasty one here today, as again the drivers making their way out for their qualifying laps. We see Gav Cook, they're putting in 158.161. Conditions quite toasty, 85 degrees. Ambient temperature not too bad considering this time of year in Texas. It can be absolutely ridiculous out in Austin. 113 degrees for track temp, so nice and warm without being too crazy. Wouldn't want to put your bare feet on it though. As again, we have just 10 minutes left in this qualifying session. Again, so happy to have you along for this ride. Again, I'm James Newton, going to be bringing you all the action for the entire season of Degenerate Race League, and it is an honor and a privilege to be here this evening Drivers making their way through. Big Red up at the top of the hill. Enormous amounts of elevation change here at this track. Turn 1 in particular, one of the better spots. We will be having a look at all of the drivers as they make their way around the track. See Gav Cook there in the Mercedes, 3rd place last time out. Relatively distant 3rd considering how quickly the top 2 were going. Jackson just missing out there. Handful of drivers yet to put in their qualifying laps, so we'll have to see what they can do. We see through this 4 apex right-hander, very, very high-speed corners. Sling it through the left-hander. 11 left-handers, 9 to the right here for this 3.6 mile circuit. Get an onboard here of Gav Cook on a qualifying lap. So heading across the line, going to be heading up toward turn 1. Frederick Goupel saying the fastest lap of the race, under 2 minutes easily for these Indy Next cars. Very, very early turn in for the 69. And now we head down the hill as the sun hides behind the clouds. Turn 2, a very long right-hander, kind of forgettable in these Formula-style cars. And then we have an enormous Suzuka-style section here in the first sector. Lots of steering lock for that left-hander, looking like a little bit of understeer for Gav Cook. Again, trying to force it through. Looking for that front end that's not biting, and then we head back up and over the hill. Very tricky here as the curbs are there to greet you, trying to extend the track as much as possible. A little bit of a blip on the left hand, and then down to one of the probably better overtaking opportunities on the track, down to turn 11, where it's so easy to get it wrong. Look how wide the track is here at this section. And now we are flat out over the hills of Austin. Drivers going to be on their push to pass out of 11, most likely, as we will be closing in on the racing hour. Coming up in just a bit. Hard on the brakes for 12. Again, another really good overtaking opportunity. Very sharp apex. Plenty of lines for our drivers. And now through this fantastic section, 13, 14, 15, and 16. As the drivers, again, oh, Gav Cook rear end coming around those rears. 113 degrees on the track. Oh, and enormous amounts of understeer. Gonna try and get that sorted out. That's gonna absolutely ruin the lap for Cook, who's gonna be looking for a much better run this time by through this right-hander, which just keeps going on forever and ever. Again, hard on the brakes for 19. Very, very tricky corner to get right. It can spit you out in a moment's notice. Turn 20, gonna need to get a really good exit, so the entry's not too important, but right here, getting on the gas as quickly as possible. Short run to the line, and that is a lap of Circuit of the Americas. Gav Cook still 3/10. Apologies. Gav Cook top of the board by 0.5 of a second. Mercedes driver absolutely on fire. Oh, Ross Twaddell getting quite spicy there in front of the McLaren of, looks like Juan Cruz. Apologies, Jansen, as Twaddell going to be out of the way. Red Bull driver putting on a decent showing last time out at the Red Bull Ring. Gav Cook still holding it up at the front. So it's Gav Cook with about 5 minutes to go here in qualifying. Not too much time. See Juan Cruz making their way around, trying to find an improvement. Jeremy Spencer Dunn up about 1.5 seconds on their best of a 2:02.1. So again, Gav Cook ahead by 0.5 second, 1.6 seconds back to Silas Jansen. Ross Twaddell right on top of that, about 1/10 back. So around the 1.5 to 2 second mark is where a majority of our drivers are back from Gav Cook. A little bit of oversteer out of the final corner. Where does that put Jeremy Spencer Dunn? Up to 11th position, so 6/10 off still of Mike Brown, losing a lot in that third sector. Have a look here at Russell Stanford. Currently on a relatively quick lap. Drivers looking for improvement. Gav Cook going even faster, already up by half a second. And this is looking like the Mercedes is going to be absolutely flying. Is Stanford going to get a nice tow down the back straight here at COTA? Originally built around 2012 or so. So this track relatively new to the F1 calendar. Also runs some WEC events. NASCAR came out here a couple of times. Got to experience the pouring rain, which was quite exciting for the Cup guys. But now, what will the Indy Next cars make of it? Again, much more at home, these machines, as they are run in the States more often than not. And of course, they'll be flung back out to Europe post-haste. But for now, they will be, again, right back in line where they normally are. About 3 or so tenths off for Russell Stanford coming across the line. See if they can do anything in the final corner. A little bit of puff of smoke. Looks like the left front getting a bit locked up. And a very shallow exit for Stanford as the Aston Martin driver across the line. What is the score on the door for the 20? And it's no improvement. Alex Hansen, meanwhile, the Alpine driver, putting it less than a tenth of a second away from Gav Cook with less than 3 minutes to go on the clock. Where did Alpine come from? Alex Hansen, a fantastic lap. And here's the other Alpine. Oh, very, very wide for Frederic Goupil, who had a little bit of issues in practice. The Alpines coming together. Oh, and they come together with the wall. Yes, they do. The left rear getting smashed very close to home and going to immediately jump back out of, or jump back into the pits. Nathaniel Acker currently on a hot lap. The Alpines again coming together. Apologies, not on a fast lap at the moment. For Nathaniel Acker, who is running, I believe, both Haas cars running the black wheels on this livery today. Looking quite good at their home circuit. And it looks like a lot of drivers. Ross Twaddell on a quick lap. I believe able to make a bit of leeway. Only, well, there's less than a minute and 45 to go, which means drivers, if they are not on a fast lap now, they will only get one more potentially. As Twaddell goes around, drivers are absolutely on the edge when it comes to where they are on pace. Again, trying to find a driver who is on a hot lap here. Right aboard Nathaniel Acker through this section here for Haas. You can hear the crackle and the whinny of the turbocharged engine as they fling their Haas machine up the hill. Very, very shallow entry. This track, not an easy one to get right. You really got to have the flow. It's got a bunch of everything. It has that Istanbul style for apex right-hander. At the end of the lap, you've got these very sharp corners here. Apexes that are very tricky to hit. Turn 1 especially can be quite tricky. You see time running out for our drivers. .30 seconds on the clock. Gav Cook still just hanging on in front of Alex Hansen, and around goes Acker, so that one's going to come to nothing. And it looks like we don't have, it looks like Alex Hansen out there, going to be one of the last drivers to cross the line in the number 10 Alpine. Saw a couple of practice starts as well. Very, very crazy stuff. 3 wide action going into turn 1, so I wouldn't expect anything less, as now the checkered flag falls, so Alex Hansen will be able to finish this lap here. They're up. It looks like they're up on pace. So the 10 may be in with a shout for potentially taking the pole position from Gav Cook and putting Alpine up on the top step. What can the 10 do out of, I believe this is turn 16, 17 and 18 on the way. The right-hander, he's slinging it through. Fantastic place to watch these Formula cars with all of that downforce. Driver's still right on the edge, slings it through 19. Hopefully we don't catch too much entry curb. And a little bit of sideways action. The rear end coming around with the Alpine driver able to hang on to it. A very late apex. And Alex Hansen to the line. What's it going to be? Will they take pole position from Gav Cook, or will it be Mercedes on the front row? Gav Cook able to hang on to it. So we'll get the results here. For qualifying, it's Gav Cook for Mercedes bringing home pole position here. Alex Hansen in second position. Frederick Goupil third. Juan Cruz fourth. Third row is going to be Silas Jansen and Ross Twiddell in fifth and sixth. Seventh is Hermanus and Stanford. Aston Martin bringing it home on the fourth row. Fifth row is going to be the Haas of Acker and Trost. Then it's Mike Brown in the Ferrari, 3.5 seconds back. Jeremy Spencer Dunn in 12th. 13th, Tony McAnally. And 14th is Sam Zawisawi. That'll do it for qualifying here. We'll go ahead and take a quick break, bring you back with the action here on the DRL for the Formula Season 1. We'll see you in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the DRL Formula Season 1 League. Again, I'm James Newton bringing you the action here from COTA, round 2. And we're going to be seeing a handful of drivers taking to the track in just a moment. But first, we'll have a look at the starting grid for today's race. Gavin Cook takes it for Mercedes at the front row. Alex Hansen alongside in the Alpine. And then it is 2x2 Noah's Ark style. The two Alpines, second and third. Frederick Goupil lining up alongside Juan Cruz in the McLaren on row 2. Row 3 is going to be Silas Jansen in the McLaren alongside Ross Twiddell in the Racing Bulls on P6. P7 is the Aston Martin duo. Apologies. P7 is Hermanus in the Aston Martin alongside Russell Stanford in 8th position for Aston Martin. Nathaniel Acker in the Haas alongside Michael Trost, their teammate. 11th is going to be Mike Brown in the Ferrari. The Red Bull of Jeremy Spencer Dunn lines up 12th position. Tony McAnally in the Audi and Sam Zawissa, apologies. Sam Zawissa in 14th, bringing up the rear. We are just moments away from bringing you the action here at the Circuit of the Americas. Looks like the drivers will be heading out to the grid any moment now. Okay, we'll go ahead and take a quick break. Be right back with more action from the DRL. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the feature on the way. Welcome back, race fans. We are about to get started. We're on the formation lap for round 2 here of the DRL. Again, happy to have you along for the ride. My name is James Newton. Going to be calling the action for today. As we get set to go racing. Again, happy to have you with us. Drivers making their way out of the final corner. Looks like we're going to actually have a rolling start, it seems. So drivers making their way through. We'll have to see if they are going to be doing a standing start or a rolling start. Looks like they're all bunching up. Gav Cook leading the way. And it's a rolling start, and they are off and away. Gav Cook leading us into the first corner. His hands. Oh, and Gav Cook locks it up. The two McLarens attacking the Alpine. So Gav Cook falling back. As it is Goupil in the lead. Silas Jansen and Juan Cruz going through. Cook falling back. So Goupil takes the lead. Jansen, then it's Cruz, then it's Hansen, Cook, Hermanis, Twiddell. And now Jansen falling back as well. Pandemonium is the two Alpines, first and third. Gav Cook demoted back to fourth. An absolute pandemonium here at the start of this one. They headed to turn 11. Goupil taking the lead there, half a second ahead of Juan Cruz, and it's Alex Hansen, Gav Cook, Ross Twiddell, Michael Trost in the Haas has made up a handful of positions as they continue to battle and squabble for spots. Gav Cook trying to get back up to the podium positions. The top four have already broken away, and a humongous move, Alex Hansen. Oh, and the leader gets taken out, and the teammates collide. Gav Cook trying to take evasive action as Juan Cruz stationary for at least 3 or 4 seconds in turn 12. Disaster for the Alpines, and there's something wrong with that 99. Goupil goes around and is stuck in the gravel, going to try to get it back out, but is going to lose almost every position on the track. Gav Cook back in the lead of this race. What an absolutely crazy start to this one. So it's Gav Cook out in the lead. Michael Trost up in second position for the Haas. Then it's Stanford and Hermanis looking very good, going very, very wide out of 19. And it looks like Mike Brown almost into the back in the Ferrari. Jansen going to go up. Apologies, Juan Cruz going to go up the inside out of 20. Gav Cook across the line as they head up Big Red for the first time. Lap 2 of 28. Drivers will be most likely making a pit stop down the middle. As around the outside, Juan Cruz trying to have a look at Hermanis. And the 444 trying to attack the 444 as they head through turn 2. Having a look, Michael Trost up 8 positions in the Haas. Up into second position. Russell Stanford also making up a handful of spots. Aston Martin third and fifth right now, looking very, very good. We make our way up and over the hill. My goodness me, what a crazy opening. Ross Twiddell trying to have a look at the back of third place. Russell Stanford, one of the bigger movers in the field. The Red Bull driver trying to have a look at the back. Guys, have a look down the inside at 12. Nothing doing there. A little bit of extra rubber in our face and a really good run. Trying to have a look. Nothing doing there as they continue to fly around through this very tight and technical section here at Circuit of the Americas. Gav Cook, meanwhile, has absolutely cleared out 3.5 seconds and gaining. What an impressive feat from the Mercedes driver. As there are battles all over the place. Ross Twiddell trying to have a look at the back of Russell Stanford. Mike Brown, 1/4 of a second behind their teammate Hermanis. As Hermanis now coming into pit lane. What is going on there with the 44? Potentially trying to get out of the way and just try and live to fight another day. Gav Cook, meanwhile, 1:58.1, fastest lap of the race, which there is a point for that. Meanwhile, Juan Cruz trying to close in on the back of Ross Twiddell as the two are Stanford and Twiddell trying to squabble for that final podium spot. Juan Cruz with a lot of pace in that McLaren is going to try and have a look at third place if they can. Michael Trost doing a really good job in the Haas after being up almost double-digit positions as they snake their way through. And now Russell Stanford only a second behind Trost. So this 3-car battle maybe turning into 4 in just a moment. Twiddell trying to have a look around the outside. As the top 4 not using any push to pass at the moment. Juan Cruz trying to have a look, and now Twiddell to the outside. Is Stanford going to live with that? Neither of them are going to be able to live with that, as Cruz almost around the outside of both of them. A 2 for 1, not going to work out. Twiddell looks like they have the high ground into the technical section, and Stanford is going to have to concede that position. Aston Martin a little bit squirrely. Juan Cruz again mashing that right pedal, looking for a wide entry, going to cut it back on Stanford. And again, the driver's trying to chase down Michael Trost. Fantastic racing here at COTA. So lap 3, Gav Cook out in the lead, 7 seconds for the Mercedes, who is uninterested in racing anybody else. The sun is out and shining. Again, 105, not quite as hot as it was during qualifying, will help with the tire life as well. So we're on lap 4. Gav Cook out in the lead. Then it's Trost, 7 seconds back. Then it is anybody's guess. Ross Twiddell, Stanford, and Cruz trying to have a look at that battle here, as now it's looking very good for Juan Cruz. Trying to have a look at the back of Stanford, who would very much love to battle. Ross Twiddell now looking for a move on Michael Trost. Drivers again tucking in behind. There's 2 battles going on. Cruz on Stanford, Twiddell on Trost, as we've seen that gap coming down from Trost. Trying to hang on second. Meanwhile, in the background, Juan Cruz making up a spot on the Aston Martin driver. So one Aston Martin looking quite good. The other one trying to get it worked out, as Cruz able to take that spot back. But also looking quite good as well. We're looking at Mike Brown trying to have a look at the back of Sam Zawisa, who's made up a handful of spots after starting on the back row in 14th. A little bit of a lockup into the technical section. And Brown doing a decent job looking for a point in this one. So we've put 5 laps away, and now this is really starting to tighten up here. We've got a handful of drivers. Gav Cook going 0.2 faster than they did earlier on. Silas Jansen now the next one to try to have a look at the back of Stanford. Jansen not even touching that push to pass. Juan Cruz has already used over half of their push to pass. Drivers allocated 65 seconds. Juan Cruz 30 seconds left. We spoke to some of the competitors, including Morgan Dino, earlier on last week, who said that those 65 seconds worth of push to pass goes very, very quickly. So again, Jansen trying to close in on Stanford. 20 trying to get a good exit out of here. It looks like Stanford is in a world of trouble. It's Jansen trying to have a look at the back of the Aston Martin. The McLaren's looking quite strong. Just had a really rough go of it. The Alpines, meanwhile, Alex Hansen recovering to 7th position. Frederick Goupel currently in 10th. So it's taken away. Oh, as we have somebody backwards in turn. Is that Ross Twiddell? It was. Wow. Gonna have a look and see what happened here. Heading into turn 12. Oh, and it gets a tap from the rear. So who was that there? I believe this is going to be live here. So, oh, never mind. There it is right there. So that was Silas Jansen right into the back, and a difference of opinion for braking. That is, and obviously into the pits here for the Red Bull driver. Going to try to do a very long stint. Unfortunately for them. And Silas Jansen, interested to see what the front of that car looks like. As again, they're trying to have a look at the back of Russell Stanford. Well, things getting quite spicy here. Round 2 of the DRL, Degenerate Race League Formula Season 1 Championship. As again, out front, working lap 6 here, Gav Cook. 1,000,000 miles ahead, 12.5 seconds in front of Trost. Michael Trost running a very strong race. Looking quite good. Juan Cruz trying to close that gap up in the 4.44. Meanwhile, Silas Jansen trying to have a look at the back of Russell Stanford. Threatening all the time to get down the inside. It's a really spicy place to try and make a pass. I don't know about that one there for the McLaren. And now going defensive is Russell Stanford. These drivers providing some fantastic battling here. And now they head through the quadruple right-hander. No place for making a move, but you can certainly close up to the back of your competitor. The Aston Martin now trying to go a little bit defensive again into turn 19. Not a traditional overtaking opportunity. Into 20. Not a very big braking opportunity as well. But up toward turn 1. What does Silas Jansen do? Russell Stanford on the push to pass. Michael Trost on the push to pass, trying to defend from Juan Cruz. So you have a look there up into turn 1. Nothing doing for one McLaren. For this one, is there anything doing into turn 1? Very good move there for Russell Stanford, trying to keep it late on the brakes. Oh, as we have an issue there for Russell Stanford. That goes around. Oh, it's missing the front end of the car. The front wing has gone all the way off. And there's going to be absolutely no front downforce on the front of that Aston Martin. And they have to go all the way back around the track. Disaster for the Aston Martin number 20 as Russell Stanford is going to have to trudge all the way back to the pit lane. And again, only 7 laps. We're only a quarter of the way through this thing. Meanwhile, Hermana's trying to get up into the points, having to look at the back of Alex Hansen. So the 2 Alpines running line astern, but the 44 having a much better go of it, considering that they still have the rest of their car. Wow, wow, wow. So working lap 7 here of 28. Gavin Cook out in front, 12.5 seconds ahead of Michael Trost in the Haas. Juan Cruz very, very close behind in the McLaren. Then it's Silas Jansen, then Russell Stanford trying to make their way back. Tony McAnally going to be the first one to try to get around them. McAnally going to be trying to close in the Audi. And again, just really struggling for grip out there is Russell Stanford for obvious reasons. These machines extremely aero dependent, and this is where it's going to hurt the most. Going around the outside of a car with no front wing, terrifying for the Audi. Stanford trying to keep it in line. And is going to immediately peel into the pits, I would assume. And there they go. So again, disaster in terms of trying to fight for a podium today. Back out front, Juan Cruz still harassing Michael Trost for that second position. Oh, and a big moment there. This is looking quite good for Cruz as issues for Trost and slinging it through as the McLaren. A really good run. They might have a look into turn 11. Frightening in the mirrors, but nothing doing. Both drivers trying to hit the apexes. Oh, and almost into the back of the 17. Cruz really, really trying to have a look. Juan Cruz again running out of push to pass. Gav Cook not used a single second of it. Mike Brown making up a spot on Frederick Goupel. Further back in the field, but again, this battle on the podium as again Cruz so late on the brakes, but almost to the point where they're going into the back of drivers. Ross Tourelle here trying to have a look at the back of Stanford coming out of the pits, about a second or so back. And Juan Cruz now trying to get back up to Michael Trost, who has almost double the amount of push to pass. Hermanas on push to pass at the moment. And Ross Tourelle now looking at the back of Russell Stanford. This race is still providing some fantastic action, as again only half a second in it between Ross Tourelle and Russell Stanford, as Tourelle now trying to make the move. Right on board with the 54. Red Bull driver looking quite strong. Stanford able to make a little bit more ground as they sling it through 19. Both drivers not trying to mess with the inside apex. Out of the final corner, turn 20. And the Red Bull is all over the back of the Aston. Again, fighting for the outskirts of the top 10. For points paying positions for both, but neither driver wants to throw it away. Stanford fighting for a podium earlier on, and again, trying to battle for points here against Tourelle. Drivers make their way through the Suzuka-style S's. And Stanford just able to hang on, not a traditional overtaking opportunity for the machines there. Again, just a fantastic place for racing, this circuit of the Americas. Working lap 10 across the line. It's Gav Cook, 19 seconds up the road. And then back to Juan Cruz, who's got Michael Trost. So the battle for second has come through. Michael Trost losing out in the Haas. So still holding on to a podium position, but the other McLaren's on the way as a lockup for Cruz. And the battle for second has changed. Michael Trost currently in third position. Then it's Silas Jansen coming through, trying to make it a McLaren 2-3. Similar to Mercedes last time out at the Red Bull Ring. Further back to Tony McAnally, running a very strong race for Audi. Currently in second position in the standings for the teams. And fifth position would net them a handful of points. Sam Zawisa finishing in last position last time out. So incredible stuff here for sixth position for them. Alex Hansen, after having a really good look at a podium, currently running in seventh position. Arturs Hermanis running relatively strong in eighth position. And then it's the battle for Stanford and Twiddell, who are still on top of each other. Jeremy Spencer Dunn being kept company by Mike Brown in the Ferrari. Both drivers 12 seconds off of points, unfortunately for them. But again, running through, and anything can happen, as we've seen. And of course, Nathaniel Acker at the moment in the Haas machine, trying to make up some ground on that fight for 11th. And we've lost Frederick Goupel at the moment, looking again like they were running very, very strongly earlier on. Now Silas Jansen trying to have a look at the back of Trost. Once again, Stanford and Twiddell fighting it out. But again, this for the last podium position. And Twiddell very, very close. Stanford really having to work for it. We hang off the back of the Aston Martin. The Red Bull still trying to fight for it. This battle getting so, so close. Here the driver's having to lift out a little bit through that right-hander. Very, very intense stuff. We're coming up to the pit window as well, so drivers will most likely be making their stops. See Alex Hansen here trying to line up a move on the driver just up ahead. Sam Zawisa, about 9/10 of a second away. Head back to that battle here in just a bit. We'll go back to Ross Twiddell, who again is having a look at Stanford. So we have a handful of battles. We have the fight for third position between Jansen and Trost. That battle is less than a second. Alex Hansen looking quite good on the back of the Red Bull teammate of Twiddell, as we have three different battles under 1 second. And now it's looking really, really good here for Alex Hansen. He's on his push to pass. Zawisa has not messed with the entire race. Hansen halfway through it and is going to burst through with the hybrid energy. And Zawisa going to try to fight it around the outside. The Alpine able to make the apex. Yes, they are. And through is Hansen for sixth position. And a good look for Alpine trying to recover some of those positions that they lost at the start. Again, a horrific start. Goupel losing basically the entire car just about. As Silas Jansen now into the pit lane. So the McLaren will make their stop. Does anybody else follow them down? Doesn't look like anybody's there at the moment. Meanwhile, Stanford's been overtaken by Twiddell, so that's Ross Twiddell in the Red Bull up ahead. And the Aston Martin going to try and fight it back. Silas Jansen making their way back out of pit lane. We'll have to see where that puts them. So Jansen now back onto the racetrack, right in behind the Red Bull teammate of Twiddell. Stanford gets overtaken. Mike Brown winning out on that battle. And this is not done either. So again, Stanford and Twiddell still almost coming to blows. Gav Cook looking strong out in front. So Gav Cook on lap 12 here again, almost to the halfway point of round 2 of the Degenerate Race League. Formula Season 1. Again, I'm James Newton bringing you all the action here for this fantastic and toasty afternoon here in Austin, Texas. For round 2 of the Formula Season 1 Championship here on the DRL. And again, a couple of battles just brewing. Looking for drivers who have come into the pits. So Gav Cook, drivers who have not come into the pits. Cook has not pit. Cruz, Trost, make it McAnally running in 4th position at the moment. It's not pit. Alex Hansen, the first driver to come down pit lane. Zawissa's also not pit. So Jansen has pit. Hermanis has pit. Twiddell has pit. Stanford is coming to the pits. Mike Brown, apologies. Yeah, so Mike Brown and Nathaniel Acker coming to the pits. Silas Jansen making a spot up on Sam Zawissa. Gonna see what happened here. Coming into the corner. Oh, just loses the rear. Just locks him up. And the McLaren driver able to get around. It's just in behind. Twiddell still fighting this. But out in front, Gav Cook really putting on a pretty impressive display, as there are just no drivers near them. Sam Zawissa coming down into the pit lane. Taking their service, heading back out onto the circuit. We'll have to see where they shake out. They're going to come back out in 11th position. Nathaniel Acker going to be in behind by about 7 seconds or so. So about 3 seconds adrift of Mike Brown, who was running in the points earlier and now running back in the points once again. Hermanis and Stanford sandwiching Ross Twiddell, who has been on our screens a handful of times. Again, Gav Cook running extremely quick laps. Quite impressive stuff. As again, Twiddell trying to find a way around this Aston Martin of Hermanis, as there's a big lockup on the left front. Twiddell makes their way up forward as Hermanis and Stanford now together. They battle for points paying positions. We now hit the official halfway mark here at COTA. Juan Cruz making their way around, as it's looking like McLaren driver making some seriously good ground. Michael Trost still in 3rd position, looking for a podium. First points for Haas, who have not scored in the first round of the season. So a podium would be a fantastic shout. Tony McAnally yet to come down pit lane. So Gavin Cook, Juan Cruz, Trost, and McAnally yet to, as there we go, McAnally has Hansen all over the back of them. So Hansen trying to have a look down the inside of the Audi and easily gets by. Oh, and spins it. Alex Hansen. so the leader pits, gonna head down, and then all of a sudden a spin and the Audi gets through. Alex Hansen in the Alpine having issues. Meanwhile, the leader is in pit lane. Juan Cruz also going to be coming down for service this time around. I expect Michael Trost to be heading in, and they are. And what does Tony McAnally do here? Going to lose spots to Jansen and potentially a couple of others. Going to see what the gap is. They will most likely be falling in maybe behind Russell Stanford potentially. Oh, no, they're going to stay out. So Gav Cook still in the lead of this race. Juan Cruz 26 seconds back. Tony McAnally inheriting third position. Michael Trost making their pit stop. The number 17 Haas looking for a podium as Jansen goes through. So Tony McAnally and Jeremy Spencer done. Currently in 13th, the other Red Bull driver. Both drivers still yet to take a pit stop. We're seeing Russell Stanford and Hermanis. Oh, this is the two Aston Martin teammates going to be scrapping it. And oh, don't come together, boys. Very close through the Suzuka section. Oh, and Stanford almost throwing it away. Really wringing the neck of that Aston Martin. Both drivers very equal on push to pass. So Gav Cook using absolutely none of it. Silas Jansen using absolutely none of it. Both of these drivers on 32 seconds for Russell Stanford. Hermanis just up the road with 27 seconds as Nathaniel Acker overtakes Mike Brown. Back over to the two Aston Martins tucking in behind, using the air, getting punched out of the way from Hermanis is Stanford. Trying to have a look down into turn 12. Nothing doing there. A really good overtaking opportunity, but nothing for them at the moment. As these teammates continue to scrap, they have 4 seconds up the road to Ross Twaddell, who has scrapped with both of these Aston Martin drivers. Sun coming out here at COTA. Silas Jansen now inheriting third position, so it's a 2 and 3 for the McLaren drivers. As Tony McAnally, second to last driver to make that maneuver. Russell Stanford again closing in on their teammate, and a big wide moment. Hermanis is in all kinds of trouble. Most likely going to be on push to pass. No, they're not. So they're going to fall back in line. And up the hill, any kind of maneuvering down the inside, nothing for Hermanis. Oh my goodness, this really is tight. So again, they are about 4 seconds off of the back of the Red Bull driver of Ross Twaddell. As Hansen making a move on Trost. The number 10 gets up ahead, going to try to hunt down the top 3. And again, Gav Cook about 30 seconds up the road. Juan Cruz and Jansen looking quite strong. Haas a little bit twitchy. Michael Trost again up a handful of positions. Again, still the biggest mover with 5 spots. Tony McAnally up 4. And Sam Zawissa. Very, very impressive stuff this time around. And Michael Trost getting very close. Hansen not able to pull away. See what they can do through this more technical section. So we're working lap 17. Gav Cook out in the lead of this race. Then it's Juan Cruz in second position. Silas Jansen in third for McLaren. McLaren 2 and 3 at the moment, a double podium. Alex Hansen trying to pull away from Michael Trost, who looked really good at the start of the race, running in a comfortable P2. Alex Hansen making up for lost time after a horrendous start for Alpine, to say the least. Ross Twiddell been in the wars all day long, lighting up the rear tires here on lap 17. Then it's Russell Stanford pulling away from their teammate Arthur Hermanis. Then it's Tony McAnally in the Audi, one of the last drivers to pit. Sam Zawissa showing really good pace, considering how they finished in the Red Bull ring. Going to be picking up points for Red Bull potentially. Nathaniel Acker still looking for some pace in that Haas machine. Very close to points if anything else happens up front. Mike Brown putting on a couple of good moves on other drivers, a little bit wild on the rear end of that Ferrari. And Jeremy Spencer Dunn out there putting in the laps for the Red Bull. Running that normal Oracle livery. Of course, Frederick Goupel losing them. So we still have 13 runners of 14. Once again, Michael Trost trying to have a look at the back. Bit of a lull here in the race. But that does not mean that this one is over by any stretch. As Gav Cook apparently has used all of it, is now on their push to pass. Looks like they're trying to run for the fastest lap of the race. Let's see what it is this time by. I assume it's going to be relatively quick. And there it is, fastest lap. Gavin Cook, a 1:57.2. Over a second quicker than the first couple laps that we've seen in this race. So Gav Cook turning it into a time trial at the moment. But again, don't be throwing it away. Obviously, not getting the win last time out. Drivers trying to keep it nice and tidy. Michael Trost upping the pace 2 seconds a lap faster than their average. Russell Stanford also running quite quick times. Go on board with Trost. You see again about a second gained last time out. We're actually getting dropped a little bit between Trost and Alex Hansen as he ride on board. Through the sweepers. Again, it's so tricky when you've got the tires wearing. Trost trying to get on the gas as soon as possible. Down through the sweeping section, a fantastic place to watch over on the right-hand side. As you can see all the way up over the hill. Drivers making their way through turn 11. Trying to get on the gas as soon as possible. And Michael Trost on the push to pass at the moment. Pushing as hard as possible, trying to get back up to Alex Hansen. And down into turn 12. Of an early apex. And now we sweep through this very technical section through turns 13, 14, 15, and 16. Again, a very early apex for Michael Trost. Trying to look for all the available grip, and then now we just lean on that left side. Extremely difficult. Try and get that corner right. 19 again, a very quick maneuver there as Jeremy Spencer Dunn currently in the pit lane. So the final driver to take service for the day. And back out onto the racetrack. Meanwhile, for 7th position, it's a battle between Russell Stanford and Arthur Hermanis as they have found each other once again. So the teammates providing fantastic racing action. Have a look. Running on board Hermanis as we're going to be heading through the sweepers. A little bit defensive. Oh, and a big moment there. And through goes Stanford, so no issues at all for getting around. Hermanis making a big mistake. It's going to want to try to make that one right. And wow. Big moment there. So it's now Stanford in the lead of the race for the Aston Martins. To work lap 19 and head over the hills. We've seen somebody's gone off on the track, bringing on all that dust and debris. We work lap 19 of 28 here, round 2. We're going lap 20 now of 28 here at COTA, round 2 of the DRL Formula Season 1. Again, I'm James Newton here, bringing you all the action in the booth. Sights and sounds here from Austin, Texas. We have a trio of, and a really close moment. Archer Hermanis is pushing like absolute mayhem here. 44 trying to do their very best to get up to the back of their teammate. As it is looking like they are trying everything and then some. A little bit late into turn 16 and still trying to claw their way to the back of their teammate. Juan Cruz out there in the McLaren, looking quite strong. Silas Jansen running quite quickly as well. Ross Twiddell trying to gain on Michael Trost. You see the Red Bull driver trying to have a look at the back of the Haas driver. And gained 3.5 seconds on that final lap alone. And there is Trost up ahead 1.5 seconds. And that gap is absolutely closing. Oh, and that's why Michael Trost had a moment, a 2:04.2 after running in the high 159s. So that's really brought Ross Twiddell into this battle. And now is only 1 second behind Ross Twiddell on the push to pass. And we have an absolute battle on the way. Twiddell with double the amount of push to pass that Trost has. And the Red Bull seems to be on the way within 1 second. Easily the closest battle on track. Red Bull driver looking to be in the top half of, as we have Mike Brown heading into the pits. Unscheduled only 1.4 seconds, so kind of a strange stop there for Brown. We'll be blending back out onto the track, but again, Ross Twiddell trying to have a look at the back of Michael Trost. Make their way across the start-finish line to start their lap 21. Again, Gavin Cook out in front. Juan Cruz 30 seconds back. Silas Jansen 12 seconds behind them, but really strong stuff from the McLarens. After the Alpines looked like they were going to be swamping Gavin Cook at the start. Issues for Frederick Goupil, losing them a handful of laps ago. Majority of the race ago, actually. Alex Hansen recovering to a very strong 4th position. And Alex Hansen does not have an easy time at the moment. Under 2 seconds back to Hansen does Jansen have. Hansen also having a handful of push to pass. Silas Jansen has not pushed that push to pass button as Alex Hansen's on it right now. But Ross Twiddell trying to line up a move. This is looking quite spicy. Will there be a move into turn 12? We'll see what happens down the main straightaway. Both drivers almost out of push to pass. Trost with 9 seconds, Twiddell with 15. A look to the inside for the Red Bull driver. Nothing doing as the Haas hangs firm to 5th position. Head through the technical section here. See what they make of this one. And Twiddell threatening all the time. Not a lot of places to pass once you get through this section. And the Haas, really, really bad exit. And now side by side, and Twiddell gets through. Michael Trost down to 6th position. Twiddell up to 5th position. Meanwhile, the battle for the final stop on the podium is coming down to Jansen and Hansen. Alpine driver gaining on the McLaren. Trost, meanwhile, fighting back, may have something to say down into turn 1. Nothing doing there. Oh, very, very close stuff. Drivers looking to see if they can make more spots up. Battle for 3rd raging on. The battle for 5th raging on. The battle for 10th. The final spot on another Haas driver in the wars. Oh, as there's an incident. Sam Zawissa gonna have an issue there. Gonna head into the corner, and again, just a rear lock, and has to park it. Has to completely stop it. That's Gav Cook almost involved in that. As unfortunate there for Zawissa. Nathaniel Acker now holding the final spot. So double points here. It's looking like for the Haas team. Again, Hansen trying to chase Jansen for that final podium position. Only 5 laps left to go. Michael Trost looking at the back of Ross Twiddell as well. They make their way through this corner and catching out a handful of drivers who've been spinning it. It's a really low speed corner, so it's all about that mechanical grip. There's no high speed stuff, and then immediately into the high speed stuff for Michael Trost. Both drivers, Twiddell and Trost, having issues with the rear end through that right hand sweeper, the quad apex. Gap's now increasing just a little bit as we head out of the final corner. Trost trying to have a look, basically out of push to pass. Twiddell in the same boat. So Hansen gonna be trying to make up spots on the final couple of laps. Mike Brown unfortunately falling back to 13th position there. The sun shining out here. Only a handful of laps to go here in the second round of the DRL. Again, I've been James Newton calling all the action with the sights and sounds from Austin, Texas. Oh, and a big moment there for Artur Hermanis. Tony McAnally, I believe they may have had it coming together. Have a look at what happened here into turn 1, it looks like. So they're going side by side. McAnally down the inside. Aston Martin trying to hang on, and they both almost go off. Very, very close stuff. Meanwhile, the battle for the final podium position is still looking the way of Jansen for now. Alex Hansen in the Alpine trying to look for anything doing there. It looks like Jansen may have that covered up. Again, 65 seconds worth of push to pass for the McLaren. But if anybody can get there, it looks like Hansen's going to be the one to trouble them. Now it's half a second. 0.7. Any push to pass usage from the Alpine driver. Only a handful of laps as now defensive goes Silas Jansen, trying to keep the Alpine out of their rear. So we work lap 24. It's Cook, then Cruz, then Jansen. Hansen trying to have a look at the back. So Hansen, Twiddell, Trost, Stanford, McNally, Hermanis, and Acker. Double points for Haas at the moment. Double points for Aston Martin as well. Zawissa showing enormous improvement as Russell Stanford is on. Oh my goodness, down the inside here, and in a very unusual place goes Alex Hansen, trying to have a look at the back of the McLaren. Nothing doing there, but what a surprise. And what does Jansen make of that? We're going to get a good look here down the main straightaway. 20 seconds worth of push to pass here as Mike Brown makes another pit stop. Something's wrong with that Ferrari, it seems, as multiple unscheduled stops for Mike Brown. And we are on push to pass there. 18, 17, 16 seconds worth of it. Here comes the Alpine. They know they need to get it done. Jansen weaving all around like crazy. Down the inside. Do we have the overlap? We do. And out of turn 12. Does the 10 get it stopped? Yes, they do. Hansen taking the third position. Jansen trying to fight back. And again, has 59 seconds worth of push to pass. What does the McLaren do? Oh, in a squirrely moment for Hansen. They're now side by side into the most technical section of the track. And a turn 16. Very wide look for the McLaren. May get a switchback. No push to pass for Jansen. And they're going to go down the inside. They're side by side through the Istanbul section. They almost touch the front axle of the McLaren into the rear axle of the Alpine. Into the second to last corner. And a big, big gap there. Hansen trying to pull out. I say big. It's only 0.6 of a second. Now it's half a second out of the final corner. Silas Jansen, no push to pass here. 57 seconds does the McLaren have in their pocket as Hansen hits third position. And breathe. This is going to continue to go all the way to the line. I guarantee it. As Hansen really trying to work that rear end. Only 10 seconds of push to pass. We expect them to be using that in turn 11. As drivers trying to just get away from each other. And this podium fight is absolutely glued together. Gavin Cook 38 seconds ahead of Juan Cruz, ahead of 13 seconds ahead of this pair. And it's 8 seconds back to Ross Twiddell, running a very, very good race. What does Silas Jansen do on the push to pass? And the McLaren driver going to be trying to say something about that. Still on the push to pass. Still on the push to pass. Really going for it. Hansen going to go defensive. The McLaren going to try to have a look on the outside. Do they dart to the inside? No, they don't. They're going to hang around. But that still was not enough to trouble the Alpine. Really, really strong stuff here in the closing stages. Into the final sector of this COTA circuit. We've seen Alex Hansen have issues with the rear end of the car. They're looking strong at the moment, but they're not able to shake Jansen, who wants that double podium for McLaren. They want to put it on the bottom. Well, I guess any step on the podium at this point would be good for Jansen, who looked like it was a shoe-in for a double podium for McLaren this time around. Alex Hansen thinking better of it. Hansen still holding on to 10 seconds in the pocket. A bit more push to pass usage. Oh, and they get really close. A little bit of a left front lockup in. Basically trying to keep out of the back of the Alpine is the McLaren of Jansen. Battle for fifth not done either. As we continue to watch this battle, Michael Trost trying to have a look at the back of Ross Twiddell, who has been absolutely not bumping or banging, but really, really close to a lot of drivers. So can we pick up with Jansen? Gonna come into turn 11. And they're going to be heading down to turn 12, one of the better overtaking opportunities, and they're on the push to pass. They're trying to have a look, trying to see what they can do. They're going well over 150 miles an hour. We're still on the push to pass. 25 seconds, 24, 23. We are trying to gain on the Alpine all the time, and Hansen just has the legs, still using 10 seconds of that push to pass, or using none of it. Hansen squirrely out of... I mean, Hansen just has the straight line speed they need. Oh, and again, a bit squirrely. Jansen not able to capitalize. Ross Twiddell doing enough to do what they need. As Gav Cook making their way around. How about this drive from Gavin Cook? hasn't even been on TV. Trying to run away, uninterested in racing any other cars. Lapping a couple in the process. Really, really strong stuff. And just a really impressive drive from the Mercedes, who will be looking to try and put their mark even further up the road. Juan Cruz, another really impressive drive. Had issues earlier on. Didn't have the best qualifying either. But we still see this battle here. Silas Jansen getting dropped a bit by Alex Hansen. 1.6 and falling is the gap. So Hansen may have this one in the bag. Only 20 seconds of push to pass for Silas Jansen, who's used up a majority of their chances. Really, really harried them, but in the end, looks like they may not have what they need. As for the final time, Gavin Cook heading through up into turn 1 for the final time. And again, we've spoken about how impressive of a drive they've had. A mega stint. Nathaniel Acker coming across the line for the second and final time. Looking like they're going to be scoring points for Haas. And it's now around 1 second or so. Let's see if there's anything on the McLaren that's going to be... They're basically even on push to pass. Hansen has 10 seconds. Jansen has 10 as well. So what does Jansen do? Going to be quite close. But out front, on board with Gavin Cook. Making their way through turn 12. A really, really good day at the office for the Mercedes. Final time through turn 1 for Silas Jansen. Looks like they may be a little bit too far back. But it looks like it's going to be all the way of Gavin Cook, who makes their way out of the second and final corner. And Mercedes have looked really strong this season. And out of the final corner, it's Gavin Cook going to be the winner here in COTA for the DRL Formula Season 1 Championship as they celebrate across the line. Jansen about 1.5 seconds back. Arthur Hermanis coming home in 9th position. A little bit further back. Nathaniel Acker across the line. Going to be taking home 10th spot. Michael Trost closing in there. Juan Cruz across the line in 2nd position. Alex Hansen bringing it home in 3rd position, just ahead of Silas Jansen in 4th position. 2nd and 4th. Fantastic result for McLaren today. Ross Twiddell been in the wars again. Really, really strong stuff. Only 1.5 seconds in front of the Red Bull, apologies, the Haas of Michael Trost. Bringing it home there. Russell Stanford in with a good look. 7th position for them today in the top half of the field. Tony McAnally also relatively strong showing. Running up quite high as well. One of the last cars to pit, so they were a little bit off on the cycle, but fortunately, that alternate strategy did not work out for them as the 27 coming across the line. Well, that will do it here for our racing. We'll have the full results here. After 28 laps, it's Gavin Cook, 46 seconds up the road there from Juan Cruz in the McLaren. Alex Hansen recovering to third position in the Alpine. Silas Jansen coming home fourth for McLaren. Racing Bulls, Ross Twiddell fighting a whole bunch of Aston Martins to finish fifth position. The Haas of Michael Trost running in third for a while, second for a while as well, finishing in sixth position. Then it's Russell Stanford for Aston Martin, Tony McAnally in the Audi for eighth position, Arturs Hermanis in ninth for Aston, the Haas of Nathaniel Acker, the final points paying position. Sam Zawissa finishing a lap down, Jeremy Spencer Dunn finishing a lap down as well, Mike Brown, the Ferrari, having issues, finishing 2 laps down in 13th, and Frederick Goupel, we lost them 21 laps ago. Well, I tell you what, we will go ahead and bring in our winner of the race here in just a moment. So we will wait for the other drivers to make their way into again, really impressive performances by everybody. We'll go ahead and bring in our winner, Gav Cook. Gavin Cook, it's James up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? Well, I'm glad that I got you here because nobody else got to talk to you for the rest of the session. It looked like you just kind of checked out at the front. Really impressive stuff. Again, a win for Mercedes, first one of the season after that double podium last time out at the Red Bull Ring. How was that race from your perspective? We saw a really close moment in turn, I believe it was 16, that the second half of the technical section, just before the quad apex right-hander, where there was a driver who spun it. There was a driver that basically stopped, and it looked like you had to go around the outside, take avoiding action. Was that any cause for concern, or were you looking out for that kind of stuff? Definitely looks like you have got some serious pace for the rest of the season, as well as we are going to be heading to the next round of the season. You looking forward to the next round? Trying to have a look at the schedule, and we will be, I don't have that information available, embarrassingly and unfortunately, but obviously we will get that taken care of. I know that Hockenheim is, I believe, the fourth round or the fifth round or so. So Interlagos, there we go. So we're going to head out to Brazil. So just about the same time zone, so won't have to be messing around with any sleep schedules there. But you looking forward to Interlagos? Absolutely. Well, Gab, thank you so much for joining us up here in the broadcast booth. Congratulations on the win, and we look forward to seeing you out there next time. Nice little shout out there. Thank you so much for joining us. Gav Cook there coming home in P1. It looks like we don't have any of the other podium finishers on the way into the broadcast booth. So again, Interlagos next round out. Hope that you will be joining us there. So all there is left to do is to just wish you a pleasant evening. I've been James Newton here on the Degenerate Race League Formula Season 1 Championship. Congratulations to Gavin Cook on the win, and we'll see you next time in Interlagos.
Kicking into high gear, the race is on. Wheels burning rubber, we're never wrong. Power in the engines, fire in our veins. In the DRL, we break the chains. No brakes, no fear, no slowing down. The checkered flag is calling, we're the crowd. Degenerate Race League, where the tough survive. Living for the moment we're born to drive. With steel and speed, we own the track. No looking forward, 'cause we won't look back. From the streets to the asphalt, we own it all. Rising like thunder, hear the call. Push it to the limit, take the lead. In the DRL, we race with greed. From the streets to the asphalt, we own it all. Rising like thunder, hear the call. Push it to the limit, take the lead. In the DRL.